Hello and welcome to Dell Client Management. My name is Christian Eilskov, and I would like to show you a new way I found that you can install Dell Command Update with Microsoft Intune. I've been asked if I still use the same way that I made in the previous video, but I don't. I found a new way, and I think it's a very cool way because it's a little bit easier and it's not using any special tools or anything like PowerShell scripting. We will use Dell Command Update CLI to use a command line script, but it's very easy, and I will of course also make sure you get the commands that I'm using. First of all, I will ask you to please pay attention to my disclaimer here. Basically, what it says here is that whatever you do, it's on your own risk. What I'm doing here and showing you here is in a controlled environment. It's my demo environment. I don't have a production environment, so I can do everything I want without any users getting mad at me. So if you have the intention to use the material here, please make sure you know what you're doing. And if you're in doubt or need any help, please reach out for professionals that can assist you in this. So my intention here is basically to give you some tips and tricks on how you could do it. And please let me know if you found a better way to do it. So the steps we're going to do today is basically download Dell Command Update in order to get the MSI file. I will show you how to get the MSI file, and then we will launch Dell Command Update and change some of the settings. And in the end, we will then create an XML file with the settings that we can distribute for the clients. Then I will show you two command line scripts using the Dell Command Update CLI. And these scripts will basically configure the Dell Command Update, and the other script will reset all settings back to default, so you can leave it as it was before you added the configuration. So you might note that we have two installations in this process. So we will do an app for the MSI file and one for the configuration. By that, we can change the configuration without reinstalling Dell Command Update. So when we have created these scripts, we will then create an exe file for each of the scripts using iExpress. iExpress is a tool from Microsoft, and it might be installed on your client already. It was at mine. It's very easy to use, and I will show you how I use it with this installation here. Then we will put everything in a package, in a Intune Win package. So we can upload it to Intune and use it there. And then we will create the MSI app in Intune, and then we will upload and create the app for the configuration. But let's get started. So the first step we need to do is to download Dell Command Update. And we will go to dell.com/command. And this is the page for all the Dell tools that we normally talk about. And you will see different guides and videos and also the downloads, but also the manuals and the user guides. Everything you need is here. So currently we are on Dell Command Update 4.2, and this is actually the first time I'm trying to install this. I have the best experience using the Win32 and 64-bit version of the Command Update and not the universal platform. But you could choose any of these. So first we download it, and we go to the download section here. I already downloaded it, so it's pretty fast. And then we open the file. And we press yes, and then install. And here you can see that it's extracting the MSI file. And that's the file we need. and then we press next, accept the agreement, say no or yes, depending on what you want, and install. And here it's important you don't press finish because we want to see the installer log. You actually get another chance to press that you want to see that, but you might as well do it here. And here you can say close. And then we have the position of the Dell Command Update MSI file. So we copy it. We say OK. And we say copy. And then we go to the folder I created where I'm putting all the content that we are going to work with today. And we're going to put that into the MSI folder. And then we are launching Dell Command Update. And I'm starting as administrator because I want to show you a pop-up window. So here you see the pop-up window I was talking about. This window will always appear when you run Dell Command Update as administrator. I will show you a way to avoid this window because more and more administrators are giving their users access to being administrator on their own system. And this one will basically override all the settings that we are doing with the configuration. So we need to block this pop-up, but I will show you how. But in this situation, you can just press OK and ignore everything that it's going to do because we're going to change it anyway. So here you have the startup window that the user will see, and they can see system information. It's really important. Here you see all the drivers installed at the system. So when you run Dell Command Update, it will check all the in the drivers you already have installed. And if there is an update for that, then it will update it. So it will not install missing things. You need to do that in another way. In the settings, you can tell it to download everything for the client, but then it will download, everything, and not only update the drivers and then try to install it. If you just want to do a normal check to see if there's any update, you just press check. But what we want to do now is we want to go and change the settings. So here we will go to the update settings, and we want it to download and install and then notify us after it's installed. Then after 15 minutes, it will a pop-up will appear asking if you want to reboot the system. It will not automatically reboot. It will ask you after 15 minutes, and then you can press OK, and then it will reboot. So the next thing we do, now that we have done the changes here, we'll do an export of the XML file. We say yes. And then we go to our folder. And put it in the XML folder. And press OK. So now we have the XML file. We have installed Dell Command Update, and we have the MSI file, and we have the configuration ready for the next step. So let's do that. So what we were going to do now is look at the files we have here, and we will basically look to the configuration I did with Dell Command Updating using the CLI. So here you see two scripts. The first one here is the one that I used to set up the key that prevents the pop-up I talked about before. So setting this key will prevent the pop-up for appearing when you log in as administrator. It's only when you log in as administrator you'll get the pop-up, but it will change the settings if you don't remove this one. So it's important to use this if you want the users to have access as administrators. Then we go into the registry key here and set DCU configured. So I'm setting a key that I can use for checking if everything went okay. So I'm just setting this key to 1. And then I know we already configured Dell Command Update. So what we do next is basically run some commands depending on if we install the universal or the non-universal Dell Command Update. So here you can see I'm using this path here for the DCU CLI, and I'm using configure import settings, and then I'm importing the XML file with the settings we created earlier. The next step is basically configuring the log settings to enable, which means that we will prevent users from being able to change settings in Dell Command Update. The next script I created is the opposite. So here I'm removing setting the key here to 0, meaning that we didn't configure Dell Command Update. And then I'm restoring the defaults, and I'm removing the settings that locks the interface for Dell Command Update. So that is the 2 scripts you need, and I will of course put these scripts in the description of this video. So the next step that we need to do is convert these command scripts into a exe file that we can use inside Intune. In order to do that, we need to start up the iExpress, and we need to run it as administrator. And we say yes. And we want to create new self-extracting directive file. And we select the first one, and we give it a title. We don't want any prompts, and we don't want to show a license. And then we add the command line script. Oops. And then we press next. And the program we want to install is itself. So we copy the name. And then we say next. We want it to be hidden. Don't want to show any messages. And then we put a name. And we say leave the rest and say next. We only want to restart if needed, shouldn't need a restart. And we don't save the SED file. This is basically a file so you can reopen the package. So if you want to be able to reopen and change, you need to save this file. We say next, and then we have created the package. And then we need to create another one. And remember to run it as an administrator. same. But this time it's reset DCU. No prompt, no license, and we want to add. Next. And the install program. Next. Hit next, no message. And then where we want to save it. And we save. Next. Only restart if needed. Don't save. Next and next. And finish. And if we go to the catalog with the exe file, we now see that we have the two CMD files converted into exe files that will run and extract itself. And now that everything is ready, we will create the package for Intune. And to do that, we need to make sure that we have installed the prep tool. I will put the link for the GitHub for getting the prep tool, but I already installed that. So I will just make sure that we have all the files here. So we need to copy the exe files. Into the folder that we want to package. And then we need the XML file as well. And now we have everything we need. So we will launch the tool. And we will select the folder like this. And then the exe file that we want to use for the configuration. And the output folder, we'll just put it in the same. And we'll say no, and then press enter. And now we have the Intune win file. So now we have the Intune package, we have the MSI file, and inside the Intune package, we have the exe file to configure the command update, and we also have the settings XML file. So what we want to do now is go to Intune and create a MSI app, and after that we will create an app with the Intune file we created. So let's go to the Intune or Endpoint Manager. So here we go into the apps section and we'll go into the Windows app. So basically, if you're in home, we'll go to apps and then we will go to Windows. And we will say add. And then we will go down here and say line of business app. And then we need to select the MSI package. Takes a while. And we say OK. And we'll put 4.2. And if you want to edit the description, you press down here. You say OK. And we put in a publisher name. Like that. And the next step is very important. If you don't change this one, then you need to make sure that Dell Command Update is not installed already. If you press yes and you have the default settings in Dell Command Update, then Dell Command Update will update itself. So if you have a previously version installed, then this will be ignored and it will just behave like it's installed okay. But as Dell Command Update will update itself, you can choose this option here. But if you don't do it, then you might get a conflict if you don't change the settings of Dell Command Update. And then Dell Command Update will update itself and Intune will detect that it's not the correct version installed. So you need to make sure that you either make sure you don't have Dell Command Update already installed, or change this to yes and let Dell Command update itself. So we will just select computer management, and I'm not going to select an image. And then we need to make sure that someone get this installed, and we want to make sure that all Dell devices are forced to have this installed. We go down here, and I already created a group for all Dell PCs, so we will select that one, like that. And then we will say next, and then create. And you can see the progress here in the right corner. Should be done really quick. So now it's done, and we go in here and look at the Windows apps. And then we can see we have Dell Command Update, and you can see I did 2 installations. So I did an installation previously, and we'll just delete one of them. And now if we go to the home and the apps, Windows apps, we can see that we have Dell Command Update 4.2 installed. So now let's go to the next steps. So we have done all these steps, and now we want to create the last step, and this is where we configure the Dell Command Update. And this is where we need to remember something. So spare with me if I need to redo some of the things, but I'll show you and make sure you get a chance to see what I'm doing. So let's go to the Endpoint Manager, then go to the Apps, Windows, and then we will add, and we will select Type, Windows App Win32, select. Now we need to find the package. And we select the Intune Win file, say OK, and press OK. Here we can just put my name, and we'll call it version 2, and put computer management. And then we say next. And now we need the install command. And the install command is this one. And the uninstall is this one. And we should be good. We want 64-bit and 1909, for example. And then we need to add a requirement, and that is a registry. And I've made a note, so I don't need to write everything. This is to make sure that Dell Command Update is installed. Like this. And we want to make sure that it exists, because then we know Dell Command Update is installed. Like that. Then we say next. And then we add a manual configure detection rule. We say add. And we say registry. And then we have the key part here. And DCU configure. And we create a string comparison. And we say equal. And we know that we set it to 1. So it needs to be 1 in order to tell that the installation is complete. And then we say next. And we say next. Next. And then we assign it to all Dell PCs. Select. Next. And create. That's all for this time. I hope you could use this guide. Let me hear what you think, and please feel free to reach out for me with comments. So I hope to see you soon in another video. Take care and have a nice day.